Hey everyone, Sycra in here, and in this video I wanted to show you some images that most of which I haven't shown before. And the reason is because a lot of you are contacting me and letting me know about how much you're struggling, whether you feel you're too old or too young, or you want to be an artist or you want to get into art school and you just don't know what you're doing really, or you're not sure if you can make it. And so I thought I will show you how I was when I was in your shoes, because I was definitely in this boat myself. So this is in 2003, and I was 19 years old at this time, and I was drawing, I don't know, maybe once a week or once a month, basically whenever I felt like it. I thought I wanted to be an artist, but, it wasn't really that I knew what I was supposed to do to achieve that. Because people had said, oh, I'm good at art, but I didn't know what that meant. And so here, I did this on my Wacom Graphire 6x4-inch tablet. And I don't think they make them anymore, or pretty sure they don't. But it was a smaller tablet, but it still did its job fine. But you can see my work wasn't very good quality. And I don't have that many images from this period when I was 19, and before that, almost none. But here's a year later. So even without putting in a lot of work, you will improve, I think. And this is what I sometimes hear from people who say, you don't have to be putting in that much and you'll still improve. Yeah, that's true. But I don't consider this a great improvement. But anyway, this is a year later. You can see my lines are still pretty shaky. Now I'm 20 years old, and maybe for some people that's pretty good for a 20-year-old. For other people, it's really not. And for someone who's aiming to be a professional artist, I don't think this is that impressive. At least for me, it wasn't. But it doesn't matter because, it's not really about the age. It's just the struggle that's important. So here, this is from 2005. So again, jumping ahead a year, and you can see it's from July 19th, 2005. And in 2003, I decided I would do a drawing every day in my sketchbook, traditionally. And so, yeah, that's when I was 19 that I decided that. And so this is 2 years into doing a drawing every single day. Maybe not a painting, but you can see, it was kind of, I didn't have ideas, really. I had the loose beginnings of ideas, I'm going to draw a person. Okay, where are they? I don't know. Draw a street, draw a wall. Oh, draw a head. Oh, okay. What is any of this? What does this mean? I don't know. Sometimes when I see work in galleries, I feel like the artist was just doing stuff and didn't really know what they were doing, and then people make up things after the fact. I think I could show this to someone afterwards and not explain that I didn't know what I was doing, and they would think, oh, yeah, this really signifies how sometimes heads come out of walls. And here is a process of a colored version. So I brought it into Photoshop and I started coloring elements, and I used textures, like noise textures and stuff with this grass. And yeah, just painted it. And this is the result. Not very good. I don't know. Again, what is this? There's a backyard and a basketball. Here, see the basketball. But I don't know. I guess in terms of skill, it's a bit better than it used to be. I mean, it's definitely better than what I was doing. But it's sort of like, why? What is this? What is this for? And again, this is something I encounter a lot with people sending me emails and showing me their portfolios and stuff. It's like some of the stuff, like, they'll say, oh, I want to be a character designer. Imagine, like, okay, I can't, what would an employer learn from seeing this? That you can draw things out of perspective? Like, I don't know. It's a bit too abstract. So now we jump to 2006. So this is actually around when I started doing YouTube videos. And again, I didn't know how to make finished images. It's like, that was one of the biggest things, is just how do I make an image look finished? And again, there weren't that many tutorials out there. There were Gnomon videos, but I don't think there weren't YouTube tutorials, which is why I started making them. But here's 2007, so jumping ahead another year. And this is more a process of how I was doing things. So, okay, you start with a head, and you can see, like, compared to that first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, this is better. So, what was this? 4 years after. And again, like, for some people who are saying, I've been drawing for a month, and I've been drawing every day for a month, and they're not improving. It's like, yeah, but that's just a month. That's not a long period of time. And yeah, okay, more finished. And then this is how I was coloring, because I didn't know how to color. So the method I use is just use low opacity and just paint over the lines, and then put in some darks to bring it out again. It's like, oh, that looks like something. See, so it goes from sketch to messy, and then, oh, it's clean. And yeah, I guess that's how you do it. Because again, just experimenting. 2007 still. Like, a piece like this is like, okay, there's some mood here, I suppose. You have something you're trying to show, but for what purpose? And at this time, I was, I'd been in hospital right after high school, and even during high school a bit, because I had some issues with my mental health. And so for a while, I wasn't actually sure what I was doing with my life, but I had some time. And so I was doing, like, I would draw sometimes, not always, because I was pretty depressed at this period. But I guess it shows in some of the artwork. It's like, well, it's not so much about showing a thing, but it's more just an expression. And it's like, okay, so I wanted to be a fine artist. And again, how do you go from this to fine art? I had no idea. And then I did pictures like this. I thought it was pretty cool at the time. Now when I look at it, it's like, oh my God, I could tear this apart. Especially the anatomy. But I guess, yeah, it's some things I do now are kind of like this, you know? Because I have crazy colors. I draw girls. They wear things, and they have weird hair and eyeshadow. I mean, that's all stayed. Elf ears, I guess. But yeah, this is 2008. So if I was 19 at 2003, then I guess 24, 2008. I might be wrong. Okay, moving on. So this is traditional, and it was done with, I think it was done with pastel and colored pencil. And then I used an acrylic coating over. And this is when I was like, I guess I'll do some fine art stuff, but not knowing exactly what to do. It's like, well, I like to do funny faces. This is before I actually got into, like, caricature. I didn't think of this as caricature or anything. I just thought, oh, it's just making someone look weird. And so, okay. This actually got in a local gallery show thing that I did. And this one too. And this one. And they're all just pastel, because I was afraid of paint. I was afraid of using brushes. So for me, I think it was oil pastel. And it just sort of felt like, well, it's not a brush, so I don't have to be scared. I wanted to be a painter. I wanted to be... I thought that would be cool. I felt like a noob using oil pastels, but the ideas as well are just like, I don't know. There's no structure. I didn't sit down and think, okay, here's my idea of what I'm going to do. I was just sort of drawing, and whatever happened. That's like, okay, this is a person now. Fine, cool. This is something else. And just, yeah. And then I did this thing where you get an acrylic matte medium and glossy medium, and you mix them, and then you paint it over so it's clear, and it dries, well, it's white, but then it dries clear, and it simulates brush strokes, because an artist I knew did this on their work, so it looked like, oh, you know, they're so painterly, and this is all painted. But it's not painted, it's just pastel. And I mean, no one's going to think it's painted, because look, see how it goes over? Like, that's not how paint works. Anyway. Yeah, same thing. So all these were in this gallery show. And it was called Frames of Mind. And it was for people who were suffering from mental illness. And because I met the bill, it's like, okay, I'm allowed to be in this gallery show. Cool. And I sold a couple of them for, I think, $80. Maybe it's more than 2, maybe. But anyway, I did weird stuff like this. These were my donkey people. And, yeah. I have no idea who would want to buy it, but it was a thing, right? And this one, it's a bad photo, but I actually thought this one was the better of the bunch, and I think this one sold. I don't hate it. I like the look. It's very intense. Some of the colors are, yeah, but anyway, here we're at 2008. So, well, that's still the same year. I guess I started doing more in this year. 2008, because now I'm seeing a lot more work, and this was also in the gallery show, and I had long hair because I was like depressed and a shut-in, and I didn't go outside, and I didn't get haircuts or anything, and I started doing self-portraits a lot because I thought that would help. I read it somewhere that doing a self-portrait is good. I think it was Andrew Jones. I think he was doing them on concept art. Just like do a self-portrait a day. And anyway, sad. And then this is when I was just doing stuff from imagination. So like, this looks okay. Like, okay, you've got some things, but it was from like the mirror. I was looking in the mirror, so I had reference. And then this is when I tried to do anime stuff, and it's like, oh man, this is my imaginary level. And I get this from people as well who talk about how when they work from reference, their work's cool, and when they are left to their imagination, it really suffers. And how do they get better? Well, you get better by a lot more work than you think, because reference is pretty, I mean, it's hard at first. Don't get me wrong. I used to have a lot of trouble drawing from reference, but after you get enough practice, it's like, yeah, I can draw from reference. And here, more anime-ish stuff, like realism / anime. I don't know. It looks like a really bad 2008 version of like a Cloud Strife, but much, much worse. Okay, I better say why it's worse. Well, first of all, I don't think it's very appealing. I don't like the shapes, but see this mouth? It's not like going in the same, like this. These eyes seem to be going in one direction. The nose is slightly off. The mouth is slightly off. It's not really going around the form. You can't really feel form in this, so I don't know. Just struggling, not knowing what I'm doing. But here is the first time, because I went to this lady for private lessons, and if you've seen some of my old retrospective videos, I've talked about that and shown some of those images. But I haven't shown these images in like with a lot of detail about what I'm saying. But anyway, I met this guy Zhongru Huang or Zhongru Huang, and he was the first like really good artist that I found. My brother was working at EA as a game tester at the time, and he just graduated from Art Institute, and so I think he was in, I don't know what the subject was. But anyway, it was some art-related thing, and he ended up getting a job as a game tester. And what happened in EA is you got these free, like sometimes they would just bring artists in and pay them to teach. And so he met this guy, and then he told me about him, and then it's like, oh, okay, this guy's work is really good. And so I contacted him, and he said he would charge, I don't know if it's good to say, but anyway, it was very reasonable. I think it was $20 an hour, which is really very reasonable for in Vancouver anyway. Super good price. Because I've taken lessons from people who were charging $120 an hour, and that was not affordable, so I could only afford one lesson. But this guy, he was the first guy who was like, wow, you're really good. And it was the first time I felt like, oh, I could do something. I could learn how to be an artist. And he saw my work and he was not impressed. He's like, no, you're not good. You're not talented. And he wasn't sure I could do it when I showed him work like this level. His idea was like, no, this isn't very good. Especially given my age, because I was in my, mid-20s, I guess, or mid to early 20s. And anyway, so he had me do this copy of, I think it's an Angers. I don't know how to pronounce that name. And then painting and still lives and stuff. This came actually after. But anyway, I did this stuff where he would set up these still lifes, and then I would have to draw them in the studio. And then I went home and I would do that for the rest of the day. And I mentioned how, so the first time I met him for a month, and I just kept doing value studies like this. He'd set up a thing and I'd draw it. And what really helped is, let's say this is in front of me, right? The subject. He would come in and tell me like, no, this is wrong. This value's not right. And then I would stare at the image and like, what do you mean the value's not right? And I would look at it, and I didn't tell him, what do you mean the value's not right? I just said, oh, okay. And then I looked at it, and it's like, I keep staring at it until I could see what he was saying. Like, oh, this is too light, or this is too dark. And then as I stared at it more and more, eventually, and like, this is too light. And then I started to notice what he was talking about. It's like, oh, I see it now. And this is when I started to feel like, oh, a teacher is super helpful. Because before this, I was pretty much self-taught and trying everything on my own, trying to just, through years, right? Just draw enough and you'll get better. And stuff like this, it was very useful because I didn't have to do it all by myself anymore. And I did this one at home. And I would do these at home, and then I came, because I would see him twice or 3 times a week, maybe 3 times a week, and then for 3 hours each time. And I had some money saved up from when I had a part-time job and stuff, and so it was like, okay, I did this, and then I'm pretty proud of it, and then I would show him, and then he started to like me more, I guess, because I was doing extra work. And yeah, I did this with a PlayStation controller and stuff. And it's something that I kind of miss from a lot of people who contact me and show me that, like, they'll ask me to give them a critique, or they'll ask me for advice, or even people will take lessons with me, and then it sort of just ends with the stuff where I might give them homework and they never do it. And for me, it was always an issue of, I want to be taken seriously. This person is really good and they don't think I can do it. That's beside the point. But I want to prove to them that I do want to get better. I'm so lost. Like, this is really important, and knowledge is not easily come by, and it's not free either. At first I thought, education should be free. But I did find when you're spending your own money on this stuff, it starts to be of more value to you. So I'm starting to change my views on, all education should be free. It's like, yeah, maybe in a concept that sounds right, but you have to find a way to really want to put in your best, like really try. And this was one of the first images, I think. It's a value study, so he just set these up. And, there's a lot of problems with proportion. This is not straight. This is not straight. But it's okay for values and getting better. And that was mainly the idea, which is why he got so much better in a short time. And this was he set up this skull, and then he taught me this way of drawing, which I've shown on videos before, but how to spin your pencil so you get a really crisp line. And this one as well, more value studies. It was really hard. These were really hard. I don't think I did a great job. And you can see even, this is a really low resolution photo, but you can see like this is all shaded. And this is a pretty big piece of paper, maybe A3 sized, I guess. And it just was really boring with a tiny piece of, a tiny pencil to keep making this all smooth. I kept getting in trouble that it wasn't smooth enough, wasn't good enough. But I don't know. And then this is from home, trying to do a cloth study of a towel. And a self-portrait. I guess it really helped because this is, I don't think this is good, proportions are off and stuff, but it's much, much better than when I started. And I think at this point he had said, I might have a future at this after all. Because I guess he said, you're not good, but you're hardworking. So that's good. And then we would sometimes go to this workshop place. No, it wasn't a workshop. It was this place sort of in the middle of a warehouse district. And it was above a garage. And it was just some dude who he found models. And then we paid. And then we would draw these people that he just talked to. And like, oh, do you want to be a model? Okay. Yeah, and this is me. There's a guy called Matt Archambault, and I sucked with proportions. Like, that was something that I always failed at, how to draw what you see. And he talked about these methods of drawing lines, like containing the figure in, basic shapes and stuff, and trying to learn to see values, relationships between things, like fenced in, like what is this shape? See? Break it down. What is this shape? And so I got a bunch of his DVDs. He has a YouTube channel, and I think he gives out a lot of free information. And he also has drawingtutorialsonline.com, but that was new, or it's not new, but at the time, it wasn't around. So I just got his DVDs, and then it's like, okay, this is kind of, I guess it's his technique on how to get better with proportions. And then here's self-portrait, but from memory, like without looking, because the other ones I was looking in a mirror and trying to draw what I saw. It's like, okay, what do I look like? And then it's like, oh, no, more like this, because I don't have such a big chin. And then it's like, okay, and just kept going. More, adding color and not really knowing how color works very well. More. And then that's it. So, I don't know. I guess you could tell it's supposed to be me, but I wouldn't say it's a very good portrait, but I don't know. Anyway, again, this is still 2008, so this was the year I guess I got serious. When people say, when did you get serious with art? At first I was saying, I don't know, after high school, but when I think about it, it's like, yeah, 2003, how many drawings did you do? Maybe, well, no, that's when I was doing a drawing every day. 2002, maybe like, I don't know, 10 in a year. So this is more stuff. And this is back to imagination, Well, this is imagination too. Drawing from memory is not necessarily. Anyway, whatever. And then trying to make an image out of it. But again, there's no narrative. There's no, what is this? It's more, oh, just start drawing a girl and wanting them to be something, right? Wanting it to look correct. Fix the boobs, make them more normal. And then this one, it's like, I didn't hate these, but this is sort of intuitive, I guess. I just start putting marks down, and this was really my problem. It still is probably that I put marks down and I try and make stuff. And so it's a girl and she's got an ice cream because I didn't know. It's like, I'd start drawing it and then it's like, well, what are they doing? Maybe they're sitting outside. Oh, what's outside? Well, what do I know how to draw? I don't want to draw buildings. That's hard. Trees, mountains, stuff like that. Okay. And then, so here, it's more fleshed out. I still like it better here, but whatever. More fleshed out. And yeah, see, mountains and trees. I watched a ton of Bob Ross when I was young. So whenever I did trees, I was just trying to think of like, he used a brush to get it, but kind of his ideas. And then here, I made it a face because it's like, I don't want to do an ice cream. Maybe she's not holding an ice cream. And the face is looking at her. It's like, okay. These were my ideas. It's just, what could it be? Maybe this, maybe that. Who knows? And then it's like, no, not a good idea. Let's just have her sad. And then, again, the rock she's sitting on. It's like, what shape should this be? I don't know. Let's just make it a block because it doesn't look natural, but didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. Okay, and then this time, I was going to life drawing sometimes, and I brought my pencil or charcoal or whatever, and my pad, and this time I brought a tablet and a laptop. I brought my laptop and my tablet with me, and I thought, could I do it digitally? And I tried this, and it's like, no, this doesn't look good. And I tried coloring it, and it's like, no, this is terrible. This isn't working. And I think the problem with me is I sort of felt like I should be good right away. That's not how it works. But I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know things like mileage. All I knew is like, oh, you should understand things. And, oh, I understand things. I know concepts. I get it. And if I watched a video, it's like, oh, I know what they're talking about. I understand it. But it's not the case. It's you only understand it if you can do it without thinking, like once it's completely absorbed. And this is more imaginary stuff. There's no real perspective here, no real construction. And again, it's okay. The faces are better because I was always better with faces. I cared more about them. And sometimes that's all it is. It's like, what do you care about? Because that often is a sign of what you'll pay more attention to, what you'll focus on. And so for me, even just looking at this, I can see you cared about faces, you cared about expressions, you didn't care about backgrounds, you didn't care about even form and structure and stuff. I guess you were trying, but it wasn't like the body is barely there, but the face. So I don't know what to say. Still in 2008. So see, I did a ton more stuff. This is also in 2008, and I was really proud of this because I didn't expect to be able to do this, and it was sort of, I don't know, I would get in these things where I would be like, wow, I could do something, and then not want to do anything more, because let's say I did another drawing and it didn't turn out as good as this, and it's not like it's super correct or anything, but at the time I was very impressed, and it's like, oh, but then I'm going to get depressed. And that was kind of how I worked, which is a terrible way. Because, now what I would do is like, oh, you did it once. Okay, do it again, do it again, do it again. Do it again until you can keep doing it, until it's not this idea of being impressed and being proud of yourself and sort of, it's not wrong to be proud of yourself, but thinking like, I should hang this on a wall. No, it should be that I can draw this. This is not a problem. And if you want, I could draw it again, that type of feeling, and not so much like, oh, I nailed it and this was a magical occurrence. More 2008 stuff. I guess this is also from imagination. I'm thinking maybe the life drawing helped a bit, but this isn't as good as the stuff I was doing with my teacher, Rue. when I was with him, it felt like I was making huge improvement. But he lives in Saskatchewan, and he would come to Vancouver like once or twice every year, or maybe once, but stay for like a month or two. And so the first time I only got to catch him for a month, and then I was back to being alone and trying to figure stuff out on my own. And I don't know, I reverted to this type of stuff. And I painted her more, I guess. This girl, and yeah, more dark, more mood. I made the block. See, she's sitting on a block. Why would there be such a block in the middle of the woods? No, it's spiky. As if that's better. Okay. Oh, there's more. But wait, there's more. Okay. So, now we're finally into 2009. And I did this. I think I did this for a YouTube video, but I'm not sure. And it was a portrait of a friend. And I wanted to show him how to paint and stuff. How to take it. So here's the process again that I was doing. I guess I'm better at color. With the colors though, it's pretty monochromatic. So it's easier when you're not trying to add in a bunch of colors. You can see like what is really colorful here. Nothing. See? Just this is the background color. A few highlights here. Some minor color variation. And then, here, same thing. Detail it more. But I still didn't know how to finish pieces. Like, I didn't know how to make good pieces. I would say this is much better than I used to do. And again, I had reference, but still, it didn't feel that good. And I was also doing traditional art and doing oil painting now. Because with Rue, I did an oil painting. And so it's like, now I can paint. And it wasn't as hard as I thought, but with oil painting, if you are getting into it, I would recommend you get some instruction. Because there's so much in terms of, you could pick up a book like Alla Prima by Richard Schmidt is a good book for oil painting, but a lot of things are like, how do you clean a brush? What kind of mineral spirits do you use, or thinners? Making sure you put your dirty rags in a sealed trash can so it doesn't catch fire in the night. Making sure your canvases are not on the ground because ants will eat them. Sometimes they won't, but some ants will eat your paintings. And just things like this. It was really important to learn. And if you are getting into painting, I don't know, I guess you don't need it, but I would say, find someone who can bring you into it and then start doing it on your own. Because there's so much. These are done on masonite, which is just a very thin wood, and then you add gesso, which is acrylic, and that seals the wood, and then you paint on top. And this isn't, again, it's sort of like my normal drawings, just not sure what I'm doing, try whatever. Continuing with, so this is June 10th, 2009, and I guess I was doing caricature again, but I didn't really think of it as caricature, but doing like a self-portrait imaginary thing. And yeah, and I felt I was getting really fat, so I gave myself double chins, because I think I was getting fat. Well, kind of. Anyway, and yeah, more. I really, this is my stuff from my secret sketchbook, which I don't show, so you're getting a sneak peek into stuff normally I don't show. And the reason, I mentioned why I don't show it, but I'll just go over it again. I do not want it to become something that I fear. This is supposed, like the stuff I do in my sketchbook. It's far enough that I don't really mind too much because it's from 2009. But it's supposed to be the art, the place that I can do stuff for me, not for anyone else, not for, does this look good? Is this going to get me work? Is this going to get me anything? It's just, no, this is my own stuff. But I tend to like it more than anything else. More stuff from that, more stuff. Yeah, so I took this and I finished it more later on. I'll show you. And then another self-portrait-y thing. It's getting better. I think this is okay. 2009. Still in 2009, another self-portrait with charcoal. Charcoal is hard. I struggled a lot with charcoal. And a charcoal still life thing. And another self-portrait. Again, the self-portraits were really important for me because it's I didn't have that much money to, pay for a model, but I had a mirror, and I knew that it's better to draw from a mirror than to draw from a photo because it's harder. And if it's harder, at least this was my thought process. I'm able to see things with more 3 dimensions. I can turn more. It's hard to draw because it's hard to keep still, but I thought I was getting something from it. And maybe I should go back to doing that because I haven't done that in so many years. And then here, this is a year after my teacher came back. So it's 1 year after, and he came back, and then I did some more work with him. So this is the attempts I did, and then this is his version, because he was correcting me and saying, like, no, see, his has a lot more structure. I don't know if you can see it, but it has a lot more structure. The forms are more readable. You can tell, like, it goes this way, and then it goes this way, and it sticks to this board. And for me, it was more, I don't know, too smooth maybe? I don't know. But, yeah. And then tried to draw a horse. And this is from photo reference and just oil painting. Again, it's on Masonite on these boards. And here's another one. The drawing is terrible here. And what I mean by drawing is, see how this thing, it's not round? See? It doesn't feel round. This is what sometimes happens to people who get very good at rendering even now. So this is, traditional rendering, I suppose. But, see, I couldn't just draw an oval, to get this correct and then paint in the lines because I wasn't drawing so much. I was very into making pieces look finished, but I didn't have that much mileage in terms of just drawing from imagination, drawing basic shapes over and over and over and over again. So I made a video called How to Practice Drawing, and some people have actually knocked it for saying things like, oh, you just need a lot of mileage. But the reason you need a lot of mileage and to put in just the grunt work is because otherwise you do pieces like this and it's like, oh yeah, I painted and stuff, but you didn't even get a circle to look like a circle or an oval. That's not good. You should be able to do this. More drawings in my secret sketchbook. I like this picture. I like a lot of my pictures in my secret sketchbook. More of that stuff. This is oil painting I did of my kitchen. And then this is that same one from way back when. And then more secret sketchbook. And this is life drawing. So in life drawing, I felt really stiff. And I didn't know how to life draw, so I was just trying. I attended a bunch of sessions, though. But I felt like if there's one thing I could say about my work, it felt super stiff. And this is when I started thinking, man, there is something I'm missing that I'm not getting from the fine artist. Because even from the fine artist, when I would look at their work, often it looked pretty stiff as well. And it was only in animation that I saw much more lively portraits and not portraits, figures. So super stiff, just no construction. See, you don't see any construction. You just see just drawing, and everything is pretty clean. And maybe that's a good thing to some people, but as I look at it now, it's like, no, you would have benefited from drawing through the form, getting more construction. Here's another picture of that zoomed in thing. And here's a thing I did. It's from photo reference, but I did it in pencil first, and then I did it in charcoal, and I messed up. See here, like the proportions are different, but it's okay. I like the way the jacket turned out. It's like, yeah, it looks nice. And this is more drawing at that warehouse place. The guy who ran the warehouse, he was a character. When I first saw him, I was with Rue, and he told me where this place is, like this life drawing place. Life drawing, but the models were all like clothed and stuff. So anyway, it's this industrial zone area, and then so I drive into it and it's like, how is this supposed to be an art place? And then and I parked my car, and then Rue parked his car and got out, and I saw him, and I'm like, okay, this is the right place. And then this guy came up, and he was shirtless and he just had like a towel around his waist and a big ass knife in his towel. And then I was scared, like, oh no. And then Rue's like, hey, and then that was the guy who was hosting it. He's just walking around like that. And anyway, he went inside his place, and then, yeah, there are people. And this is, I colored that picture. I don't know if you remember it from the other sketchbook, but yeah, I colored it. And this is another view. I guess some of these are out of order. And more drawing at that warehouse place. Oh, and then the guy, anyway, he was like, oh, sometimes the models wouldn't show up. And then I don't think I should admit that I'm gullible. I'm not. No, I'm very, you can't fool me. But, so sometimes the models wouldn't show up, and then he was like, oh, why don't you be the model, to me? So then I was like, he's like, oh, don't worry. You don't have to pay. And I was like, oh, okay. But it's like, wait, what do you mean you don't have to pay? You should be paying me. Why should I? Anyway, that was the model. More drawing self-portrait stuff. Yeah. I think this one's okay. I mean, it's kind of lame. Oh, you're in an oval, which isn't drawn properly because not enough mileage, but yeah. Back to stiff figures. Man, I did a lot of figure drawing, but I guess this is what I mean by the struggle. Like, you can do a lot of figures, but what does this actually mean? You know? Like, if you show this to somebody, are they going to give you work? And as what? Because I was trying to be a professional artist, but I wasn't sure what to do. And I just thought, okay, I'll spend some time trying to get better. But better at what? And so when I say to people, oh, this is a horrible painting self-portrait. When I say, this one's better. It's, again, oil painting. When I say to people like, oh, you've got to figure out first and foremost what you want to do. What do you like doing? It's because you first think what you like, and then you think, how do you pursue that? And for me, it wasn't that. I was more like, I want to be an artist. And I didn't even, like, beyond that, what is artist? I didn't know. It was just, I want to be an artist. Okay. And then how do you get better? And everyone will tell you something different. If you go to a fine artist, they'll tell you one thing. If you go to an illustrator, they'll tell you something else. This is okay. Some more stuff from life. Drawing. And yeah, I really liked how I did the knee here. I got like super happy about this. And very, oh, I did something. That's good. And if you're in a situation where you're thinking, you know, oh, you seem pretty good, why are you struggling? Well, yeah, I sometimes wonder that too. Now that I look back on it, it's like, you could have just done this. You could have been a fine artist, but I didn't know. And the people I talked to tended to say, you know, you're not that good. And you might think that's cruel, but really it's not, because what they're saying is you might be good enough to be a hobbyist who paints on the side, but you're probably not good enough to be a professional working artist whose work sells, whether it be in galleries or you're not good enough to apply to Disney or Pixar or anything like this, because I wasn't, you know, not even close. So it's kind of hard when you find out how high the level really is of being good. But now what I've learned is that all you need to do is just keep working at it. Like, even if I'm at this level and it's not that good, you know, if I spent another 3-4 years just painting all the time, I would have gotten much better. And this is from Imagination. This is kind of like the stuff I do now, I guess. I don't know. And some more oil painting. I like to paint like this. I mean, I wish I could just stay painting like this, because it's very loose and you just get brushes and it's all one color. It's iron oxide red. And with iron oxide red, what is great about it is that when you paint very loosely and you mix it with thinner, it gets to be like this value. And then if you paint it raw, it gets much darker. So it's got a ton of range. See how dark it, well, I mean, this is also the photo, but it gets like a lot of range in one color. So, but it's very expensive. I was using, it's called Rembrandt, the brand of the paint, Rembrandt Iron Oxide Red, or Red Iron Oxide or something, but very, very nice paint. Very expensive. And here, okay, so here, I started looking at my portraits and I was thinking, okay, they are not lifelike enough. And I saw this guy, I'd seen him before, Jason Seiler. I saw his work and then I kind of forgot about him. And then I saw he was doing a course online, a schoolism course. And I saw he was doing caricature. And it's like, well, I don't really want to do caricature, but I really liked his work because it felt so much more like the figure than just a realistic interpretation. And so I signed up for his course. At the time, the schoolism courses were $999 for the full-blown course thing. But before, I thought, I need experience with caricature because I haven't really done any caricature. So I think it was a month or two before the course started, I thought, I am going to do as many caricatures as I can. And on YouTube, I started doing these caricatures just to get mileage. And I didn't want to go to the course with no experience. And this is something I'm not really seeing a lot or at all from people who I talk to. When they say they want to do something, it's like, okay, sure, but you should already have started, you know? Because you don't want to go in just raw. And when I went to animation school, I really did. And this is all from 2009 still. I went into animation school a year after this, but I hadn't animated and I went to animation school. That was probably bad. If I was doing it over, what I would have done is tried animating for at least, 3 or 4 months before thinking of going to a school. Just even if it sucks, even if you don't know what you're doing. Because with this, I didn't know what I was doing with caricatures. I just thought, oh, you just make things like weird. You try and look for the character and push and pull. And so, yeah, I was doing a bunch of caricatures and trying to get better. And I did get better, but you can see, like, this is still, it's not that detailed. And this is something I had a ton of trouble with. Like, how do you make things look finished? This didn't look finished. Now, it might look finished for a student, right? But again, I'm not trying to become a student. I wanted to become a professional. And when you want to be a professional, you have to compare to other professionals. So sometimes I get a lot of comments on YouTube saying like, oh, but you're good, you're good. It's like, I was good for someone who is not getting work. But a professional level is very different. It's really high. And I read in a Wizard magazine. It's a comic book magazine, and when I was young, I was into comics. And one of the things was like an article about how hard it is to get into comics, and they said it's more rare to be a comic artist than to be in the NBA. So that's pretty rare to be like a professional comic artist. And that's when I started to, and this, I saw this a long time ago. So I kind of got the idea that it is not easy to do work and get, to become a professional artist. It's nice to say it. Oh, I want to do art. Oh, I like to draw. But to get to that professional level takes more effort. And at the same time, there's this thing called the Chew Stream, it was Sketchaholics. Yeah, it was run by Bobby Chew, and he made this thing called Sketchaholic, and he had guests on, and you would do a piece, like, it's kind of like a contest, and if you won, you would get like an art book. And at one point, he had Alvin Lee on, and so this was my entry for Alvin Lee, and you can see, I tried to do this character that was, I don't remember exactly what that is a really long leg though, Jesus. But I tried to do, I think it was a comic character or something was the topic, and you can see the heel says like A for Alvin and L for Lee. Because I wanted to, I don't know. And then this was another version with and colored. And it's really screwed up. See? And again, you could see how when you try and draw from, or when I tried to draw from imagination, it was terrible. Because give me a reference, I can do an okay job. Left to my own with imagination, it's not so simple. And this was another entry, but this was for when Justin Koro Kaufman, he went by Koro on concept art. He was the guest. And so I made this homeless guy who mugged Darth Maul because Darth Maul was drunk. And then I guess this was one of the first times I was really thinking about narrative. And so he took his thing and see, he's been collecting stuff. There's like a bear and a traffic cone. And this is Club. There's Spider-Man for no reason. And Sex Center because, why not? And Club Koro. Sycra. And then see, having a sale. And there's a Jedi person coming to attack because it's stupid, but and I didn't win. I didn't win the Alvin Lee one either. And there's a hand from life and it's awful. More caricature. Yeah. I mean, it's getting better. If I look at these now, it seems like, this is fine. And I think it was all done with the hard round brush. Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty hard round. And then this is some YouTube video speed paint that I did. More speed paint YouTube stuff. And I was starting to get pretty okay comments on my YouTube videos. I don't know how. I must have had like maybe 10, 20,000 subscribers at that point. Hillary Clinton caricature. I don't know. Speed paint, I guess, or something. Drawing from reference. More drawing from reference. Trying to get, should I crosshatch or should I not? I don't know. Just try both. More drawing from reference. More stuff for a True Stream. Or not I keep calling it a True Stream, sorry. Sketchaholic. Bobby Chu is not affiliated with Sketchaholic anymore, I think, but he was at the time, and I don't know. That one wasn't very good. Again, from reference. And then more caricature. So all this is before I took the course with Jason Seiler and tried to do an Obama caricature. This is 2009, so he's been in like probably a year. And then this was Steven Silver, because I think Steven Silver was doing an interview with Bobby Chu, and I just started drawing him while the interview was going on. Bruce Willis, and more stuff from reference. More Bruce Willis. And, at this point, I think I got the DVD from Jason Seiler, because he had a DVD called like Sketching with Jason, something, anyway, whatever. And I watched that. So I was trying more crosshatchy stuff. Fingers from reference. I mean, these are okay, especially in terms of skin tone. It's a improvement. More caricature stuff. And this was another of the contest thingies where I made an oven worm. So, he gets people and throws them in. I really struggled with this stuff. I was trying to just use my imagination and think about stuff, but I was not very good. Like, you see this guy's head. Like, how does this connect? How does this all work? Who knows? So, it's not professional level. It's not good enough. And this was a thing I did of Jason Seiler, doing a painting of him normally and then having a caricature. Again, remember with what I said when I was with Rue, I really wanted to show him that I was dedicated. And I felt very strongly, maybe because I didn't go to school, that because it was so hard for me to learn, when I actually had the opportunity to learn from somebody, another Jason Seiler caricature, I felt really honored. Like, wow, you're teaching me stuff. And I felt knowledge was really, really valuable. And so I didn't want to go into the course with very little experience. I wanted to show, like, no, I care about this. I want to get better. And then John Stewart, caricature. Again, this is all before I took the course, just trying to do stuff. And see how you can get pretty far without anyone's help. But what happens is, when you just keep drawing and drawing and drawing without anybody's help, what you get are good questions. You find problems where it's like, no matter how hard I try, I still don't know the answer to this. And what it was for me with this is like, this looks okay, but it doesn't look finished. How do I make something look finished? How do I make something look good enough that you would want to put it on the cover of a magazine or something like that? Still no idea. And okay, drawing from life. And I don't know. I still thought I sucked, and the people around me thought I sucked too. So it wasn't like great for self-esteem or anything, but maybe that was good. Maybe that's what pushed me and kept me going. Here's a Glenn Beck caricature, some squirrel thing from imagination. See, so I didn't know what a squirrel looked like, but I mean, I've seen them. So I was trying to draw it and try and capture it without seeing the animal, like no reference, just try and imagine what a squirrel looks like. And it's like, I don't know what a squirrel looks like. So yeah,